You have one lap. 1. And somewhere on this track, 0.03 of a second are about to end your weekend before it even starts. The engine screams past 9,000 revolutions per minute. Hands locked on the wheel. This is the final lap of qualifying at Chicagoland Speedway, and the driver behind this wheel doesn't know it yet, but this lap is about to become the closest qualifying result of the entire 2026 NASCAR Cup Series season. Turn 1. Turn 2. The car is loose, but it's fast. There is no radio chatter left to hear, no spotter calls that matter anymore, just the wheel, the wall, and a clock that is about to decide who leads this field to green on Sunday. Whoever is behind this wheel is chasing a number so small it shouldn't exist in a 3,400-pound stock car, a margin measured not in tenths, not in hundredths, but in thousandths of a second. The car crosses the line. The screen goes blank for a moment. Then, cut. Hard pause. The number hasn't appeared yet. And it's about to blow up the entire garage. Part 1, the reveal begins. On Saturday, July 4, 2026, NASCAR returned to Chicagoland Speedway for the first time in 7 years. The 1.5-mile intermediate track hosted Cup Series qualifying for Sunday's Aero 400, and by the end of the session, one name sat atop the leaderboard, Denny Hamlin. On paper, Hamlin had won. He posted a lap of 30.296 seconds, good for 178.241 miles per hour, securing his 4th Busch Light Pole Award of the season and the 52nd pole of his career, breaking a tie with Ryan Newman for 9th on NASCAR's all-time list. But inside the garage, nobody was talking about the stopwatch. Speaking after his own victory, Hamlin admitted the result had almost nothing to do with driving. "We got very fortunate that the last 12 cars had full sun, 100 sun," he said. He explained that as clouds rolled in behind him, the track's surface cooled and lap times dropped, adding that the track definitely got hotter for the drivers who ran after him, slowing their corner speeds. Hamlin went further, crediting the driver chasing him more than the conditions that saved him. "In my personal opinion, Kyle Larson is the best driver at this racetrack." Track insiders quickly picked up on the same theme, that a swing in sunlight and surface temperature during the session may have been worth more than any setup change all weekend. This wasn't just any qualifying session. Chicagoland Speedway had not hosted a Cup Series national race since 2019, meaning nobody in the current field had recent data on how this 1.5-mile track would behave under a fresh repave and years of weather exposure. Hamlin went out 20th of 38 cars in the qualifying order, an unfavorable early draw that normally works against a driver, since track grip tends to improve as more rubber goes down. Larson, by contrast, went out 37th, almost last, in what should have been the most favorable window of the entire session. And yet Hamlin still held on. Hamlin arrived at Chicagoland holding a 1-point lead over Tyler Reddick atop the Cup Series standings, adding extra weight to every lap he turned that afternoon. Behind him, Chris Buescher and Brad Keselowski of RFK Racing swept the second row, marking the team's first top 5 qualifying sweep since Darlington in May 2024. But while fans argued about sunlight and stopwatches, something far bigger was happening 2 garage stalls down. Before Kyle Larson ever turned a qualifying lap, his number 5 Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet had already failed pre-race inspection, not once, but twice. NASCAR rules allow a car 3 attempts to pass technical inspection before harsher penalties apply. Larson's team used every one of them, finally clearing inspection on the 3rd attempt. The punishment was immediate. Car chief Jesse Saunders was ejected from the property for the remainder of the race weekend. The team also forfeited its pit stall selection for Sunday's race, a real disadvantage on a 400-mile oval event where track position out of the pits can decide the outcome. Here's your reminder, this channel, NASCAR Track Report, is closing in on 500 subscribers, and every one of you watching right now is part of getting us there. If breakdowns like this are what you come here for, hitting subscribe costs nothing and helps this channel keep digging into stories other channels won't cover in this much detail. Drop a like while you're at it, it genuinely helps push this video to more race fans. Lawson's penalty was actually the lighter of two handed down that day. The number 71 Spire Motorsports Chevrolet, driven by Michael McDowell, failed inspection 3 times, one strike worse than Lawson's car. Because McDowell's car never cleared inspection cleanly, he was not permitted to attempt a qualifying lap at all. He was placed at the rear of the field in 38th, forfeited pit stall selection entirely, and will serve a pass-through penalty once Sunday's race goes green. Car chief Travis Young was also ejected for the remainder of the weekend. Compared to McDowell's outcome, Lawson's team escaped with the lighter half of NASCAR's inspection penalty structure, but the optics of a car failing twice, then producing the second fastest lap of the entire session, were impossible to ignore. Now here's the twist nobody expected. A team that had just been caught failing technical inspection twice, that had lost a crew member for the weekend and any advantage in pit selection, went out and nearly took the pole anyway. Lawson's final lap came in at 30.297 seconds, 178.235 miles per hour, missing Hamlin's time by exactly 0.001 seconds. Lawson himself downplayed the result afterward, saying, "I thought it was going to be worse than that," and adding that Hamlin was by far the best here all weekend. A team that just got caught bending the rules almost beat the fastest car in the field. How? Reaction across the NASCAR fan community was swift, with many pointing out the timing of Lawson posting the second fastest lap of the day just minutes after his car had been flagged twice for inspection issues. NASCAR has not suggested any wrongdoing beyond the inspection failures themselves, and Lawson's team faced no penalty to Sunday's starting position. The car passed legally on its third attempt, and that's where the official story ends. But the optics of the fastest recovery lap of the day coming right after 2 failed inspections left plenty of questions hanging in the air, unresolved. By Saturday evening, 2 separate storylines had merged into one. On one side, Hamlin, a driver who openly admitted his pole was shaped by sunlight and track temperature more than raw speed. On the other, Lawson, a driver whose car was penalized twice before qualifying, yet who produced the second fastest lap anyone put on the board all day. Neither driver did anything against the rules. Hamlin qualified under identical conditions to everyone else in his qualifying group. Lawson's car legally passed inspection before he ever turned a lap. And yet the story isn't about penalties, it's about perception, for teams, for sponsors, and for a sport where thousandths of a second now separate legitimacy from suspicion. Sponsors invest tens of millions of dollars a season into cars that carry their name on national television, and a headline built around inspection failures and a near-miss pole is not the kind of coverage any marketing department signs up for, even when every rule was technically followed. There's a broader angle here too. Hendrick Motorsports fields 4 of the most heavily sponsored cars in the sport, and every inspection failure now gets more scrutiny in a season already defined by tight margins. With Lawson sitting 5th in the championship standings, 182 points above the chase cut line, the stakes of a 2-strike inspection penalty were more about optics than points. Lawson is also the defending Cup Series champion, yet he entered Chicagoland chasing his own personal storyline, a winless run stretching back 42 races to a victory at Kansas in May 2025. A near-miss pole coming just minutes after 2 failed inspections adds another data point to a season where Lawson's team has now faced inspection penalties at more than one track, including a similar 2-strike failure and ejection of the same car chief weeks earlier at Pocono. Every 5-car Hendrick inspection from here forward will be watched more closely, not because of what happened at Chicagoland, but because of how close the numbers landed, and because this was not the first time this exact penalty had followed this exact team to the garage. Remember that cockpit from the opening? The screaming engine, the final lap, the number too small to make sense in a 3,400-pound stock car. That wasn't Hamlin's car. It was Kyle Larson's, the car that had already failed inspection twice, that had already cost its team a crew member and a pit stall, going out and nearly stealing the whole session anyway. Both stories are true at the same time. Hamlin's pole is legitimate, backed by a lap time on the board and a career record now standing at 52 poles. Larson's inspection failures are also on record, filed officially, penalties applied, case closed according to NASCAR's own rulebook. There is no protest, no appeal, no asterisk next to either result. And yet the sequence of events, 2 failed inspections, an ejected car chief, a lost pit stall, followed minutes later by the second fastest lap of the day, is the kind of timeline that keeps a story alive long after the official penalty report has been filed and forgotten by everyone except the fans still replaying it. Hamlin got the pole. Larson got the scrutiny. But nobody got the answer everyone actually wants. If you made it this far, you already know this is the kind of breakdown this channel is built around, so drop a comment with what you think really happened in that inspection bay, and share this with another NASCAR fan who needs to see it. If you enjoy real NASCAR breakdowns like this, you'll like what's coming next.